Right now? Yeah. This is Kiki at Lucky Liquor in South Seattle, Washington, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
The podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist of the paranormal over a cool cocktail.
This independent podcast follows a group of modern Vespa riders in search of classic pubs, dive bars, and haunted taverns. This is not smart or safe, but it's really, really fun. As a disclaimer, we never encourage drinking and scooting and keep our intake to 1 drink per hour, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Close to it.
So welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. This one's called Danny's Back.
Nice touch.
Thanks. Hey, welcome to the crew here today. The Lizard, you've returned.
Oh, I'm glad to be back in the saddle.
Shelly's in the house in his hard seat right there. And Bobby Chong promises to make an appearance. That would be 2 in a row for him.
You know, I'm a witness as to his verbal commit.
Yes, that's right. He did have a whiskey in his hand when he said it. So we've all been really busy with our non-scooter lifestyles between school starting, business, travel for all of us, weddings, and even a funeral. So I guess we haven't had time to ride and get as much as we want until just recently to collect some stories and finally we just kind of, with our aimless rambling, got something put together.
Got enough anyway.
Hey, the good news is it wasn't one of our funerals, so we're still in action.
Are we sure? Bobby Chong is not here. So we do have a ride or two, I guess, to discuss, and including some firsts. We found it. We went on a ride with 6 bars, and 5 of them were brand new, for me at least. Yeah, some really cool mid-century stuff, 1 or 2 with their own stories, and a side trip to Seaside, Oregon, where we visited one of the most haunted bars on the coast, or some say Oregon. We've got scooter news. And
love that segment. Still love it.
And first time ever, you're going to love this.
What?
Spooky news.
Oh! You continue to come up with these great ideas for expansion. It's not going to be a spin-off, is it?
No. Yes, it's going to be not a spin-off, but a continuation. Because it's easier to find spooky news than it is scooter news. There's the scooter industry in the middle of late fall is not as busy as you think it is.
I see.
True. Okay. But we got some stuff, so we're going to enjoy it. Plus, it seems from a prior podcast where we discussed an EVP I picked up from a young man named Danny, he continues to haunt my files in my computer. It's really strange, and we're going to share later in the podcast this really strange phenomena. So lots to cover today on Season 3, Episode 3, Danny's Back.
This is Alex at Loretta's in South Park, Seattle, Washington, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
You know, I ran into one of our listeners this morning on my a quick scoot over here, and he mentioned how our followers are doing. And I really didn't have an answer for him because I haven't heard the update from you.
Well, I think they're probably doing all right. We didn't go to any of our followers' funerals either. But we did beg for Facebook reviews on the last podcast, and some of our listeners were kind enough to provide those on our Facebook page.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Which is at Chasing Ghosts Pod on Facebook, and it's please join us if you haven't. And we got enough reviews that Facebook pinned our rating to the top. Or when you do a search on Google or Bing or anything else, we now have 4.8 stars. Somebody ranked us as a 4, even though they said really wonderful things. So it must be one of those kind of teachers that never gives an A.
Yeah. They're out there.
If you haven't done it, we're going to continue to beg. We'd like to have you go to our Facebook page and give us a rating, what you think we deserve. We can take it. Go to iTunes and rank us, rate us. We need those reviews as well. It helps us rise on the boards. Go to Instagram and give us the finger, Twitter, or even look for our pictures at the post office and put a sticky note on it. We don't care. Our website is chasingghosts.net, and if you have a scooter or scary bar story, just record it on the voice memo thing on your phone and attach it and send it to Mark H at chasingghosts.net, or just hit the send button on our website and attach it, and we'll use it on the show. We'd love to, especially if it includes a haunted bar or a scary scooter, or if you're a scooter rider that had a scary story, we can do that as well.
You're reaching, aren't you?
I had a scary scooter once.
Yeah, you did.
Hey, why don't we take this time to reach out to the military on this Veterans Day weekend?
We should. I think
I don't know how many military listeners we have.
Well, we have some, and we want to also thank them for their service and dedication. This will be coming out after Veterans Day, but it doesn't mean that we don't still feel that way.
We can still do, a timely shout-out.
The other thing that's happening is this Saturday, we're going to be featured on The Feed, which is the Libsyn, the podcast with Elsie and Rob, where we did a promo for, and now they're doing the audio blog with us on there. So that'll be featured this Saturday. So listen to The Feed.
We are so on our way up.
Oh, yeah,
no
we
wonder
might
you've
pick
got
up another listener
lately.
So, and don't forget, we have our own Alexa skill, and that is just enable Chasing Ghost Pod on Alexa.
This is Lindsay at the Tin Room in Old Town Burien, Washington, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. Yeehaw!
So, fellas, what's been going on? We haven't seen a whole hell of a lot of each other.
Well, I missed the last podcast. I was on a camping trip with my family down on the Washington coast. Got a little rain, little sun, but nice family time. And as much as I missed you guys, it's always family first.
It reminds me of a Brady Bunch episode.
Well, we are kind of like the Brady Bunch. Not my family, but us three.
Here's a story. How about you, Mark? What have you been doing?
Behaving like a saint.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Napping?
A little here and there, but no, I've just been doing what I do.
Well, what you did this morning was you squeezed some fresh oranges, and we have.
I saw you fumbling through the first couple, and I better take.
You've sort of taken that over. It's my squeezer.
Part of it.
But it is the start of basketball season, Coach. So you're just digging in.
Yeah, tomorrow's day one. We don't have March Madness or Midnight Madness. We're going to have Monday Madness.
Yes, and you're going to take a look at this motley crew you have and shape them into the young men they're going to become.
My voice may be a little different in the next podcast.
Well, I just spent...
I'll go Patton. I'm going to be Patton on the
yes,
next one.
Yes, you are. Coach Patton. I just spent 7 with Kevin.
What?
Yeah.
How was he?
Yeah. 7 days in Fort Lauderdale with my boss owner at FLIBS, which is the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. Way too much stone crab and fillet and way too many boats down there. I mean, huge, over 200 foot.
You sent a picture of a couple of them that were gargantuan.
I did. Yeah, it was really kind of unbelievable. But it's a lot to make it an 8 a.m. to midnight p.m. type day every day down there. And,
well, you're not a spring chicken anymore.
I'm not, but I did power through it. I had to drink on the way home just to get myself right before
You're
I
such a pro.
And speaking of trips, did I mention that I was at Lake Lanier in Beaufort, Georgia in late September?
You did now, yeah.
Did I didn't mention on the last podcast, though, right?
I don't think so.
Did you?
I would have remembered Beaufort.
Well, we opened with a guy from Beaufort. He was the opening deal, but I don't think I ever talked about why I had that recording.
Wasn't Justice T. Beaufort on the down that way?
So Lake Lanier in Beaufort, Georgia, is known to be cursed. There's the curse of Lake Lanier, and it's known to be haunted with including underwater ghosts. Per the CBS Channel 46, and I posted this a while back on Facebook, this man-made lake, which, by the way, took 5 years to fill, and they covered, like, I don't know how many towns, several towns, and then about 20 graveyards. So when they filled this over a 5-year period, this huge man-made lake, they said they moved all the bodies. But some of them, they didn't have names. They didn't know what the names were. But
so they missed a few.
Yeah, but they say they dug up all the grave sites. But most of the folklore surrounding the lake being haunted is linked to digging up the dead. Here's what this guy Coughlin says. On Lake Lanier, there's probably thousands of them. And for a lot of the graves, they were so old that they didn't have the names of them, and they were unknown, and they just moved them. Over 675 people have died on the lake. Many from... Since
then?
Yes.
Well, that counts the dead they moved?
No. Including people saying that they felt hands pulling them down underwater.
Wow.
Like I said, it took 5 years to fill it. It displaced 15 businesses. It has whole towns that are underwater.
Well, I think I just solved the mysterious case of the Loch Ness Monster. He moved lakes. He's in Lake Buford.
It's not Lake Buford. It's Lake Lanier.
Oh, Lake Lanier. I'm not listening. Sorry.
So in
You
one
lost
year,
me at Buford.
in 1 year alone, they had 17 freak accidents. Some really, really notorious ghost stories that are surrounding the lake and the area. And there's one story about 2 girls in the 1950s where they just disappeared. They'd purchased fuel, and it was back in the 50s. They'd purchased fuel at a place and didn't pay for it and took off.
Whoa.
So they didn't know what was going on. They found skid marks, and then the car.
I've seen skid marks before on our scooter trips.
Worse than that. So anyway, the car disappeared. They couldn't find it. They did find skid marks. It went underwater. Never found it. But maybe weeks later, this body was found. It floated to the top, and it was a woman, a girl, which they identified, they think, as one of these 2. And her hand was missing, and hands were missing, and 2 of her toes. It was really, really strange. But they still couldn't find the car. So this is back in the 50s. In the 1990s, they're building a new bridge. And as they're dredging for the bridge, in between some tree roots and all this kind of stuff, they find this old car, and they found the other body that was inside.
Are they trying to bridge the gap between the living and the dead?
It was in 90 feet of water. And nice try on that one. And this badly decomposed body, obviously with jewelry and some other things they were able to identify. But here's the thing. Now there's a story about a woman wandering down the bridge with no hands in white. That people see that's down there, and that's just one of the
reminds me of old
stories
Shep,
that's
your
down
Shep
there.
story.
So there's underwater ghosts with hands pulling you down. There's freak accidents, a place considered to be cursed, and there's ghost stories that surround the whole area.
Now, have you spent much time in Georgia, or is this your first time?
Hey, I was just
area?
there for business, and I wasn't ghost story hunting. But what the fuck?
That's out there.
So if you're interested in better facts and stories, go to mysteriousuniverse.org or look up CBS Channel 46 for more about Lake Lanier, Georgia, which, by the way, is very pretty and very popular for vacationers. I recommend it.
Well, it sounds like a scooter trip waiting to happen.
Although, you know what? This sounds like spooky news, and we're not even there yet.
I know. That's how
Yes.
good. That's how good our story for spooky news is. Anyway, that was what's been going on with me, and so I actually did Lake Lanier, Lake of the Ozarks, and Fort Lauderdale, just boom to boom to boom. So I've been getting around, but I didn't get a lot of stories in Lauderdale. It's just too pretty.
Work getting in the way again?
Work gets in the way, man.
This is Joey at Flanagan's in Puyallup, Washington, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
So a few podcasts back this summer, it was actually Season 2, Episode 8, Listen Before You Ride, where I was staying at the Haunted Robin Hood Inn in the Olympic Peninsula in Washington with Bobby Chong and his wife T-Bone.
T-Bone.
So I recorded an EVP after hours in the bar with a group of people that we featured on that podcast. And there was a lot of history to it. I think I explained it. Very sad story behind the guy that we picked up and why he appeared on my recorder. But once we put out that particular podcast, I close that file. It goes into a different part of my computer, and we've recorded several podcasts since. In fact, this will be the third one after. But it seems Danny isn't quite done with me yet.
Well, that wouldn't be the first person that's not quite done with it yet.
No. I mean, I've
So what do
mentioned
you
this a
think it
couple
is?
of
What's
different
going on
times.
here?
I don't know what's going on. I mean, you want to say it's electronic glitch, but let me tell you, the final mix of the last 2 episodes, when I have all the tracks, then I mix them down to a single track.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you don't have to tell the Lizard and I. We're helping there with you.
Oh, yeah,
there with you
absolutely.
every minute of the way.
When I mix it down, I create a whole new file, and then what happens is Danny's EVP recording that I did last summer bloop, pops up in the middle of my final mix. Not some other random file. I have hundreds of files on my computer, all these different audio files.
And it's easy to understand it's Danny.
In different areas. It's the exact recorded thing that I did. And it's me saying, I'm speaking, and then his EVP comes up, and then his relative that was in the room having a little bit of a freak out. And that piece has come up on 2 separate files, 2 separate podcasts. On top of that, I'm having these really strange things happen with my phone. I know this sounds dumb, but it's like somebody takes my phone, like I'm looking at pictures, and they'll zoom in, they'll zoom out, they'll zoom in, they'll open up apps, they'll swipe left and right, go into the different apps. And what's really funny is one of them is my little ghost app that's on my phone that allows you to sort of speak. It's a vocalizer for the dead. Anyway, that even came through. Yeah. So it's really strange. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in this piece that's come up a couple of times into this podcast right now so you can hear what I'm talking about. If it shows up later and when I'm mixing and rendering this and it shows up again on its own, right, I'm going to leave it in. And it's going to go right over the top of the other talking because that's what happens. It just comes in. But if you hear it, I'm going to play it here. If you hear it later in the podcast, it's because it did it on its own. Or Danny did it. Where are we?
Prototype Village Resort.
We're doing a little recording. So we're with Stan, Bobby, Amanda, and others. So if you have something to say to us, do it now. Who's whispering? I just heard whispers. Is that you? Danny? Who said Danny?
I'm thinking, for starters, you should have your computer scanned for the Danny virus. I've heard that's out there. And secondly, we're still not the spooky news, and this is scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah, I know. I think Danny's come back, and I've got like a little brother.
Finally, he's not the baby anymore.
And I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding about this. I'm by myself when I'm doing the editing, and when that came in, it literally
was
sent.
That a shot at you and I, the lizard?
It literally sent chills down.
Pretending he's doing all the work.
So I will, as this progresses. Once again, I'm going to leave it in if it happens. I told Davis this story. My son, you know him. He grew up around this neighborhood. Right. He said, "Why did you edit it out of the last two? You should have left it in." And then told the story. I said, "Well, if it happens this time, I'm leaving it in."
Okay. Well, that whole story doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but the title of this episode finally does.
Danny's back.
Yeah, okay.
But you know what? I think it was just you and your dish full of edibles when you were doing the editing.
The largest population of edible eaters are the seniors. So I'll keep you abreast of this as it continues, if it does. But that's where the name of the podcast came from.
Okay, good.
Danny's back.
Full circle.
This is Shannon. We are here at the Marco Polo Bar and Grill, established in 1950 in Seattle, Washington. And you are listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Hey, Mark, when are we doing my favorite segment? Scooter News!
Scooter News, baby! Here we go.
We have it coming now?
Yeah, let's do Scooter News right now, as long as you're going to bring it up.
I love it.
So, hey, a little bit about Pendominomo. Remember Pendominomo? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's our friend Keith, who lives down in Sacramento. We've done a couple of rides up in the Sierra Nevadas, down in the Delta, all those cool little towns that right now are on fire. Unfortunately, there's some really, really sad news up there. Our friend Keith has a cool house there in Sacramento, and he is selling it.
What happened?
Well, he is moving home. He's coming back to the area.
Ah, nice.
So that means Pendominomo may be joining us for the podcast, maybe the next one.
Okay, that's
some
great
pretty
scooter
good
news.
Pretty good scooter news, yeah. So welcome almost home, Keith. Hope it works out. We called you a few seconds ago here on the podcast just so we could say, hey, can we announce this? And what did he say?
Selling my house, can't talk now.
So I sent him a text and said, we're assuming permission to talk about this. And if we don't hear back from you in 3 minutes.
No, it's over.
Hey,
listen, I'll drink to that.
There you go. The fresh squeezed is delicious today, by the way.
Is.
I think when you age the oranges a little mold on the side doesn't hurt anything.
Fermentation.
You know what's great? Because when we ride, we do one drink an hour, but when we podcast,
all bets are off. Yeah. So what time of year is it, guys?
Oh, it's winter.
I mean, what season? Yeah, what
fall,
season is it?
It's
late
32
fall, it's
degrees
winter. We had frost on there.
Frost.
But what time is it, and what time of year is it in the southern hemisphere?
It's
spring,
summer down there.
It's spring and summer. That's right. It's time to plan a trip to fabulous Australia, down under, for a scooter trip of a lifetime for not one, not 2, but 3 rally events in January of 2019.
Would we suffer from vertigo at all?
According to the scooterfile.com, we might. There's a group of clubs from the UK. It's a conglomeration called the Southwest Scooter Clubs from, the southwest part of England. And they plan scooter trips all over the world. And this year, they're featuring a U.S.-Australia trip along with the Reservoir God Scooter Club down there to warm our chili bones in Australia with 3 rallies.
Now, these 3 groups coordinated this together, or they just happened to be stumbling upon each other?
No. I think they coordinated this. It's going to be during Australia Days, and they're calling this the Australia 2019 Joint UK Aussie Rally.
Do you think there'll be a joint there?
Starts in Adelaide on the West Coast.
Somebody will have a joint.
I had a joint last night.
I saw you.
So just so you know, British rules apply. Now, this is something I didn't know about, but it's all-inclusive, including twist-and-go automatic scooters or shifting scooters. And it's happening during Australia Days, a national holiday, from Saturday, January 26th through the 28th in Adelaide. I say rentals are available, but they call it hires.
Okay,
so you can hire a scooter.
That's what I'm saying. People, obviously, some will ship them over, but that's a big pain in the ass.
Oh, who could afford it? No.
Will there be enough scooters to hire?
The thing is, they're also saying you can just join in the fun as a scooter rider. Part of it is a cruise on a boat. There's all kinds of things going on. There's going to be they have specials on hotels. Yeah, they have contests. They have punk rock bands, and then let me just tell you a couple of the names. The Young Offenders.
Mm-hmm.
That's us.
Fistful of...
It was until he turned.
And then it was Fistful of Trojans.
Oh.
And there are contests, there's beaches, there's pretty girls. I just added that part. I think it would be a really cool trip that we should go... make it a business trip for the Chasing Ghost Project.
Potentially, but this sounds like a nude beach where it sounds good on paper until you go there and go, oh, shit.
Wouldn't you think?
Not a good idea.
Wouldn't you think, Coach, being number 1 of this and getting 5 stars for that, there would be money in the budget for us to go down there and attend?
Or at least as a marketing.
Well, there was money, but I just got the bill for the podcast website. $216. I'm going to need $70 each from each.
We need to do a full audit.
Okay, so the first weekend is in Adelaide.
He skipped right over that.
First weekend's in Adelaide, and from there it's just a short trip on this Trans-Australian Rally to Melbourne. That's the next few days. And it's 406 miles. Sounds like pretty familiar, Ike. This is in between bars. That was in between bars for him. On the east side and down ride, it was brutal. In Melbourne, the Wild Dog Creek Scooter Club are putting an evening on in Paradise Alley Bar, in the Paradise Alley Bar.
That's my favorite group right there, the Wild Dogs.
Wild Dogs. That would be Wednesday, January 30th. Oh, and then from there, it's just another 440 miles to Sydney for leg 3 of the big Australian Rally on Saturday, February 2nd, starting with a harbour tour. They're going to, the Opera House and all that stuff you see in Sydney. So,
is there any precautions that these people should take if you go over there? I mean, Australia is the land from down under. Anything different about there? I've never been there.
Nor have I. I know it's a long trip by aeroplane.
That would be a long, long trip.
You'd
be pretty drunk, I would think, as a
depends where I was sitting.
I think if you were worth a shit at all there, Mr. Podcaster, you would connect with these people and at least get some sound bite or something from them because, there's at least something like good day or,
The dingo ate my baby.
Good on you.
Yeah, we need that. So if you want more info, go to scooterfile.com and click the Book Now button or go to www. Ozday Rally 2019. That's OZDAYRALLY 2019.com. And
do you think one of our global listeners could send us a soundbite?
I think they will. If you know what, we'll let them know. We'll hashtag them. We'll let them know that we're talking about this and that we're pushing it. Yeah, I think we should go. My problem is I have a boat show during that period.
No. Oh, and I'm married, so I'm out.
Well, I just did 7 with Kevin.
I'll go.
I just did 7 with Kevin. I may or may not have a boat show after that. And then how about this new feature that we have, Mark?
What? Don't do this to me. Don't tease me.
Spooky news!
What?
Oh, hey. I've been on the edge of my chair for the last hour and a half.
Spooky news. So, okay. This story's been all over the internet. It's been all over the world news or the interweb, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. It was even recommended by you.
Yeah, I heard this on regular news networks, which is what piqued my interest.
So here's the headline, just so you all have it. I want to marry and have a baby with a ghost.
Well, that'll catch your attention.
Amethyst Realm. And somebody said they knew somebody named Amethyst
You have
Realm.
a lisp?
Yeah.
What's up, Doc?
She claims
That's a real name?
she has slept with at least 20 ghosts and says she's now engaged to a poltergeist. In fact,
And she's not
she
joking.
wanted, because she's so upfront, she wanted to let everybody know she cheated on her real fiance and had sex with a ghost. And then she broke it off,
Well,
of course.
you know what
Who
they
can
say.
compare to that?
You know what they say? Every time you yawn, a ghost sticks his dick in your mouth.
Okay, she also mentioned that she and her spirit joined the Mile High Club. On her flight back from Australia, they went into the loo. So here's where the time when being in the Mile High Club in the space, she didn't have a problem with any space because she seemed to be all by
You know
herself.
what? Maybe I'll do that on my next plane trip. Because that space is just unbelievably
So
tiny.
this is so funny.
Or get a
This
midget.
next line that I read is that there was no going down on one knee. He doesn't have knees.
He only has nephews.
She said, though, for the first time I heard him speak, and she told The Sun, which is a quality newspaper, I could actually hear his voice, and it was beautiful, deep, sexy, and real.
Wow, that sounds actually engaging.
Look who's coming in the door.
Oh,
Speaking of ghosts.
Bobby Chong.
It is Bobby Chong.
All right.
Little
So,
Red Riding Hood, the gift of...
Bob, we're going to get you in on the next segment. Welcome. Let me just say, though, they also have gone to the movies together.
What movie would you
I
see?
know.
Ghost?
Does she pay for two tickets or one?
Whoopi
That is
Goldberg?
my question.
We need to get her
Well,
on
if
the
it's
podcast.
Portland, they have to because parking, those cock will make you pay for every single scooter in one parking spot.
You got a rebate.
Well, I worked hard for that.
All right. So if you want more information on the woman who had sex with 20 ghosts or the woman who's engaged to a ghost, just Google any of those words and all the video and the interviews come up on the internet. And
Yeah, it's worth checking out. You have to check it out.
I'm speechless.
Great spooky news.
So Groupon did a survey, Mark.
Groupon?
Yes, Groupon.
Is that mustard?
You're
Very fancy mustard?
Yeah. Well, it's a coupon email thing that you or a
I've heard my
app
wife
that
talk
you-
about Groupons
Yeah,
from
because
time to
she's
time.
very frugal. She is Swiss.
No, she's had a little Swiss in her.
So that makes her Swiss cheese.
A little Swiss.
Cheese inside her.
So they surveyed over 2,000 people and found out that over 60% had had a ghost sighting or a brush with the paranormal.
Where'd you get this
Think
info
about
from?
that. Seriously.
Where do you come up with this creative writing? lies?
I go on the interweb.
Boy.
So think about that. Out of our group, there's really about 7 of us, 6 or 7, depending on how you look at it. That means I have had it. Bobby Chong has had one. Mike has had, or Ike, he's had a sighting. That's 3 out of the 6, or 50% even right here.
Well,
Okay, so there's that's 5 of us. I never have, and
I
Coach
have.
never has.
I think it's a 60 or over thing.
so. That's the
You
numbers
have to
fit.
be,
Almost fit, yeah.
you have to be
Yeah.
experienced in life to have experienced
So
experience.
More like bored.
here's the other thing.
Bobby Chong.
Welcome, Bobby Chong. They also categorize things that people fear the most when they did this survey. And are you ready? Here's the top
Okay,
10.
I like it.
Snakes,
Yeah, I can see that.
spiders,
No,
sharks,
no,
I don't swim.
drowning,
can't swim.
heights. Here, this makes me laugh. Public speaking, failure, and they're right beside each other because a lot of
Yeah.
people do fail.
There's some flops out there.
Bees are on the list of the top 10.
Huh.
Cramped spaces, like this little booth we're in,
Yeah.
and rejection. So there
Well,
is.
I've calloused to rejection.
So the rejection part is really based on our downloads. And we should all be very, very
that we
afraid
can
of
handle.
that. So
Well, we have to.
there you go. Our first installment of Spooky News.
Okay. It's not going to pass scooter news for me, but I like it.
Yeah.
It
well,
works.
maybe I'll do little shorter versions of scary things that are happening.
Okay.
Hey, this is Wayne at Twisted Fish in Seaside, Oregon, and you are listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
So, Mark, the new segments are fascinating. They're great, but can we get back to our roots of actual scooter rides and what we're doing on them?
Well, one more little side trip.
Another?
Yeah.
Okay, but
Here.
go ahead.
It's a little side trip to Seaside, Oregon. And I like to say a seedy little resort town on the Oregon coast filled with arcades and bars. What's really cool is that we fit right in.
We did. I felt comfortable.
Okay, Seaside is also a very haunted town with tons of history. And it's derived from the name Seaside House. It was a historic resort built in 1870s by railroad magnate Ben Halliday. So from about 1888 to about 1938, there was also a train that ran from Portland to Seaside. And you know what it was called?
No.
The Daddy Train.
Well.
And sometimes, a couple
could
of
go a lot
times
of
in my
different
life,
ways.
I've been called Daddy. Sometimes I say Daddy needs a ride home.
You've been part of a daddy train, too.
That's right. So the Daddy Train was
Just
named.
once in college.
The Daddy Train was named after the famous train that brought fathers and families to the coasts for the weekends. To escape Portland's summer heat, who's ever heard of that? Families would make the railroad journey to Seaside and spend their summer in the beautiful little town. I'm reading this from the Historical Society's website. Fathers would then make the trip back to Portland, spend the work week in the city, and I bet running amok, and then return on the weekends to visit the family.
Oh, the good old days.
Oh, yeah. So here's my theory as to why Seaside is haunted. Daddy would come home on the train on Friday and find Mommy and Mr. Jones spending time, and Daddy would kill Mr. Jones. And there you go. Okay, I'm kidding, sort of.
And
so
now you know the rest of the story.
there you go. There's also a promenade that goes along the beach. It's been there almost 100 years. It's 98 years right now. And in fact, we walked a good portion
There
of
are
that.
a few houses for sale if anybody'd like to go down.
And they're very, very expensive. And Bob, you'll love this. Bobby Chong, even Lewis and Clark were there. In 1805, they did some sort of salt deal there in their Core Discovery tour. I didn't know they were on several different tours. They're like rock stars.
It was just one big long tour, actually.
Well, they had different names for it.
It never did sell out.
Anyway, my point is that there's tons of history, fire, trains, infidelity, alcoholism, and that was just last weekend.
Well, and bumper cars.
We did.
They've
We
got
rode the
bumper
bumper cars. I even went to the Oregon Ghost Conference there, if you guys remember that. But
I do. Poor Beth.
we were there on a different
You
kind of
drug
break.
her along.
Yeah, we did. They opened a new bar since the last time we were there.
Yeah, I like
Shocker.
The Times Theater, or the Times Theater and
Tell
Sports
our
Bar
listeners
now.
about the concept of this place.
Well, so the place, it was the downtown theater that's was opened in 1940 or 1941, depending on where you look. When they originally built it, it had 640 seats. But in 1989, 30 years ago or so, it closed down.
Well, it's the damn internet and Netflix.
That's right. Well, it's been reopened as a brew pub and sports bar.
Well, even better.
They're making a decent beer there. I'm not a beer drinker, but I drank a couple of beers. But they also have Tito's.
Well, you fit right in now.
Well, it made some people
But
happy.
they've got theater seating, nice cushy seats.
So what are your impressions of that place?
No, that's a pretty cool
Yeah,
spot.
big screen. It's like a movie theater with a bar and sports games going on. And
So there are movie theaters that serve drinks, but there aren't many that are also a bar. So they have small screens and that huge movie screen with high def football
the
and
back of
sports
level
going
one
on,
is the bar, and then up above is a second level
and another bar,
and another bar.
all looking down. How many seats do you think are in this place?
Yeah.
84.
Probably way
No,
more than that.
Yeah, at least the 640 that were there originally, but what a great concept.
Yeah. And so we asked them if it was haunted, and they said, well, they didn't think so. Nothing's really happening.
But to connect this to scooters, we were there in Seaside over the summer, and I thought the town was kind of dead.
You just need to know where to go.
Well,
I don't think it was open then, though, was it?
that particular place was not open, but Seaside in general was a thumbs down.
Yeah, you have to know how to work the room. Okay, one of the places we also went to was the
hot tub was great, though. Remember that, Lizard?
We were all pretty tired.
Do I?
We were pretty tired that night. It did foam
walked
up.
out of there like an old Texas Western shoehorner.
We went
bow-legged.
We went to the Bridge Tender, and this is an old place, home to a former brothel. And the owners called a female spirit there the Madam. She's apparently seen in a green dress. She thinks she's still in charge of the place, and she's clearly not a fan of Europop, they say. Tavern owner Katie Smith recounts that every time the jukebox would play an ABBA song, the CDs would fly up like a deck of cards. So she removed the CD and it quit happening.
Well, that did not just happen in the Bridge Tender. That happened across America when ABBA played.
You know, I shamefully, there's a couple of songs I like. It happened 3 times. Anyway, she removed the CD and it never happened again. But they also, it's a home to a few children's spirits, including a little boy who has his own song, Pop Goes the Weasel, that they play. So anyway, we were visiting. Our wives were rolling their eyes, remember? And we were told by everybody that worked there that the place was haunted. And the bartender told us what he saw, a spirit moving across in front of him in the bar. Michael or John, I can't remember his name, he said he would record that story and send it to us, but he hasn't. We had to record this anyway, so sorry, John. Even though he didn't want to be interviewed that night, we spoke with Tiffany, who was there on her night off, and she shared her spooky story of the Bridge Tender in Seaside, Oregon. So why don't we take a minute and listen?
May I add this, though? It was nice to see that our wives finally respect what we do. They saw us at work, and they go, this is how you do it. They've always wondered, how do you do it?
You overtip and ask for a story.
You know what? Respect is kind of a stretch, though. They acknowledge.
Okay, they were there.
All right, here's Tiffany's story at the Bridge Tender.
Okay, so I'm with Tiffany at the haunted Bridge Tender Tavern in Seaside, Oregon, and you work here.
Yes, I do.
And you had quite an experience that happened.
Yes, I did. I have a coworker. Her name is Jackie, and she's a really silly girl, but she was standing there as I was putting money into the register, and as I was putting the money in there, my arm stopped moving. It felt like it was held there, and she was watching me do it, and I was saying that it may have been like a hydrated muscle or something, but I literally could not move it. And she started blowing on it, wondering if it was hot, and was like fanning it off, and she watched it as it happened, but it started to bruise. And then by the time I got off the clock 4 hours later, it was actually a black bruise. And it was like that for almost a week, about a half a week long. There was a full handprint that showed up out of nowhere for no particular reason.
Wow.
Yes.
And you still work here?
Yes, I do.
And you kind of keep an eye out for things?
Yeah, I've had multiple haunted run-ins. That's just the most extreme one that actually left evidence behind. And there was a lot of witnesses. So that story I don't feel as crazy telling as like some of the other times. Like, I remember when I was using the restroom, which I was very vulnerable at that time. But somebody came in and slammed the door so hard, and it was hitting the chain lock on it, and it went back and forth a good 8 times, really loud, really strong, and and I thought it was one of my friends pranking me, so I kind of opened it up and looked out, and there was nobody there, and my coworker said that nobody came in there while I was there, so
oh my God.
It was just kind of really creepy.
Wow.
I also had another coworker. She was really skeptical. Sorry, I keep stumbling. This is exciting
Halloween.
for me. So we were standing there doing dishes, and she was talking to the person right by the sink, and I was washing the dishes. And I turned the sink off, and when I turned around, they both turned on completely and just started like full faucet just splashing into the sink. And I freaked out, and the person she was talking to was freaking out, but she was like, whatever, it was just a ghost, no big deal, and turned the faucet right off.
Just the ghost.
Yeah, my mind was blown. I was like, that is not physically possible, because the handles actually turned instead of just water coming out.
Right.
So it wasn't a plumbing problem, it was just like
did it on its own.
Freaky, yeah.
Wow, Tiffany, those are great stories.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tiffany's got stories. A 3-for-1.
Well, there were more than that. As a matter of fact, they told us other stories that they declined to record, and different people that worked there.
The bruise on the arm is the fascinating one for me.
Are you going to need a photo?
I would like some visual evidence. But I'll take her word for it.
Oh, Tiffany, I really appreciate it. She did a great job, and she shared.
stepped right up.
And her boy, she was there with her boyfriend, and he smiled, moved away, and let her talk. So, anyway, thanks to the bridge tender down at Seaside. They did a nice job for us. And
always a cozy place.
Yep. So get there, bridgetender.com.
Hey there, it's BJ here of Dottie's Double Wide in White Center, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Can we please get back to our roots and talk about riding our scooters and visiting bars?
I thought that's what the podcast was really
please.
about.
So,
me too.
Yeah,
God.
the thing is, we have lives. It isn't just sitting on a seat.
What else is there?
Well,
I want to say one thing, Mark. I read an article about the jukebox down there at the bridge tender.
Yeah.
And it was the Abbott CD was defective.
Oh. Is that why
Thank
she
you,
had
Bobby
a problem with it? Yes. So, anyway, a few weeks ago, while Bobby Chong was in California going to a girl's wedding, we took an all-day ride to Old Town Burien, South Park, Tukwila, Georgetown, and White Center in Seattle. It was the crusty ride of the season. It was really, really cool.
And great new bars.
Yeah, we went to 6 bars, and 5 of them were a first time for me. So and you, yeah. So I've really been not all of them though. More new for me than you because you've been to Georgetown Liquor.
That's true. The Liz and I have been there.
We had history.
So we started at the Tin Room. This is a classic favorite in Old Town Burien. Lizard, maybe since you live near there at Three Tree Point and ride our mutually owned 1965 P180 vintage Vespa there quite frequently. I'm sure it's running great. Like to know sometime. Maybe you could fill us in on the history in the pub a little bit or what you know.
You know, the Tin Room was actually a sheet metal shop for 50 or 60 years, and the fellow that owned it retired, shut it down, and about 2006, a local Burien man bought it, turned it into a bar, added a little theater, and it's been a popular downtown Burien
spot. Yeah, I mean,
ever
it's super
since.
popular.
It's really cool. Probably the most popular spot in Burien.
So you also watch games down in their theater.
Yeah, they have.
Before I put up the big screen here.
They have about a 50-seat theater down there where they show the football games, lots of old run movies.
And Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
So we went to the Burien UFO Festival, right?
We did.
And we watched, what movie did we watch? The Maury Island Incident in that little theater, along with the writer, producer, director group that were in there.
Yeah, we did. That's a classic.
And one of the favorite features is they still tend and serve you there. The drinks.
They haven't booted you out yet.
Yeah.
So, Bobby Chong, you've been to the Tin Room a few times.
I have, but I like to sit at the bar with a beautiful young bartender who does fresh squeezed orange juice and Tito's.
That was Mark. That was Coach Mark. He did that for you also. He's 20 years younger.
That was a different bar. That was a hot tub in Seaside one night.
Okay, so we left the Tin Room and we headed down the hill to Loretta's Norwesterner.
Man, was I hungry.
And my niece Margot, who I love to death, who apparently I'm marrying as an officiant.
You're still doing that?
Yeah, next summer in Walla Walla.
Which Margot is this? What's her last name?
Margot Helgen is Bobby Chong's daughter. And I think she picked up a little of the Asian gene as well. She said, you need to get your butt down to Loretta's. And we did. I sent her a picture. I even tagged her on a Instagram post. But wow.
Nice place. I liked it.
Classic pub, Airstream, good burger. I mean,
great burger.
All the things that we liked. A steamy wax paper tavern burger, low wooden ceilings, great deck with an outdoor fireplace. They used to have an Airstream parked out there, but unchanged neighborhood of Old Seattle. This has not quite been gentrified yet.
Right. And you chummed up with a local.
I did. A fishing guy. He was pretty cool.
The lady.
The lady? She was a local PR person. Yeah.
She was his girlfriend.
She knew
You tried
everything.
hiring her right on the spot.
I know. So a local chef, Josh Henderson, and the TV channel series on HBOVice.com picked it as Seattle's best burger, by the way.
I would agree with that. That's good.
Here's what they said. That burger might be the perfect burger for when you're fucked up.
Oh.
Let's just say you can't get this burger at home. I think it might be, I don't know, if you choose this burger over sex, but it'd be close, maybe. I don't know. So it's,
well, I did that day.
Yeah, we all did that day. So it's just too beautiful to live, just like one of the original Seattle podcasts. Loved it. So you will too. We almost didn't even leave. We almost just stayed there. And this bar does, for me, rate Scoot to It Now.
Yep.
Our top rating.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the same owners of Loretta's have several other bars we've been to, including the 9 Pound Hammer, the Square Knot Cafe, Seattle Pool Room, and Star Brass.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Star Brass has that burger as well.
They do, and they call it a Loretta's burger, right?
Absolutely.
And then from there, we hopped on our hogs, our scooters, and we headed to Lucky Liquor.
Yep.
Lonnie, you brought this one up.
Yeah, I did, but can we backtrack a little bit?
Yeah, let's go back.
Wasn't the bartender from Star Brass the one that said, "I'm not your trained monkey"?
We did a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't know this connection.
No, we did not.
Until this trip, this podcast. So over to Lucky Liquor in Tukwila, which is really close. It's within less than a mile.
Right. So this is right at the
before the overpass, north side of
south end of Boeing Field.
Yes.
Southwest corner.
Right
of
by the
Field?
Boeing Airplane Museum and all that stuff.
And the rest
Right.
of them.
Right.
Yeah.
They used to be called the Annex. And when it was called the Annex, you know who hung out?
Who?
Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer.
That's
In fact,
right.
they identified his seat for us where Gary Ridgway would sit.
Yeah, we don't want to glorify that guy, but the Lucky Liquor, what I liked most about that place was the neon sign that was out front, although we weren't there at
neon
night. Neon
and screw-in bulbs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, cool
so it has a new name, a new vibe, and it's really, really cool. So if you find yourself on East Marginal Way, this 4.5-star Yelp-reviewed place, open since 1933, is certainly worth a stop. They have a national pinball tournament, lowrider night, and a huge history. I don't know. Are we going back?
We'll go back.
We'll be back.
And there's a story that's haunted.
You know, I didn't really pick that up. So tell me what you heard.
I heard the bartender say, yes, it's haunted.
But they didn't have anything to really back it up. They just had moving
that's never
bottles,
caused
that
you
sort
to
of
be-
thing.
That's never been a requirement of yours anyway.
I do like a specific story. So we gave it a scoot to it whenever you can. In fact, there was a guy on a Harley that followed us in, and we sat down the bar with him. Nice guy.
And they serve corn dogs.
Ooh,
we shared a corn dog.
Yum.
Remember that moment, guys?
And Keith's moving home.
Well, we will have to take him there.
He will love that place.
Hi, this is Katie at the Haunted Bridge Tender Tavern in Seaside, Oregon, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Okay, so we left the Lucky Liquor, and we ended up at the Georgetown Liquor Company. This was recommended by your friend
Terrence,
right?
Yep.
And so we went there. I liked it.
It's
surprised me. I've done a lot of time in Georgetown. Never been there.
It's kind of tucked right off the road. It's hard to see if you're coming from the different south heading to north.
Right.
But it's a great little stop.
Yeah, and it tall ceilings, big bar, friendly people.
Friendly.
You know what I love about Georgetown is we are the anomaly. We have no tattoos. Other than Bobby Chong, he has one small one and a tattoo.
You were looking again.
You're my brother. I've seen it. So you brought me there. It's charming, haunted, people working hard.
And
Just
what did we share? What did you, me, and the lizard share?
With Nikki, the bartender?
No. We shared a corn dog.
Oh, that's right.
You've got to be kidding me.
You know what? Keith Womble, or Pandamanomo, could have taken that corn dog in one bite.
Well, we've got another challenge for him.
We do.
He'll be here soon.
All right, so Nikki, under duress, agreed to tell us a little story about what's happened to her there. So let's hear about the haunted Georgetown Liquor Company and Nikki's story. So I'm with Nikki at Georgetown Liquor. And Mark and Lonnie. And this place is haunted, isn't it, Nikki?
It is, yes.
Tell us what's happened to you and other people here.
It's just at night. I close on Thursday nights at midnight. And at some point in the evening, there is a figure, very quick little kind of mischievous figure that a mischievous figure that kind of makes its presence known in the center of the restaurant and darts into the bathroom. Usually when out of my peripheral, and everyone else that works here confirms the same story. Just a really quick
shadow.
It's definitely a person, and yeah, it's just very this wispy, black and white, like classic ghost kind of character. And I feel like it's a kid, and I feel like they are definitely just playing around. Like it's not evil. It's just kind of like, yeah, well, more just like mischievous, like a kid that just is trying to he definitely or she, I don't know, definitely wants us to know that they're here, but it's almost like, oop, you didn't see me. Like they just kind of zip into the bathroom real fast and kind of play.
So what do you think it's a child, but what do you see when you look at it? What does it look like?
It looks like if you were to draw a person with a pencil on paper and then erase it real fast. Like it's just like a...
That's a good description. That's a great description.
That's what it looks like.
What do you know about this building in general? How long has it been here?
Oh, I don't know. I should know, though. I lived upstairs, and there's the whole historical of Georgetown. The building, they used to make moonshine here. That's why it's called Georgetown Liquor Company. Oh, so, and pretty much all the buildings on the street were brothels upstairs.
Did somebody die here that you know of? Or it could be any, you have no idea what?
The whole area is haunted.
Yeah. This whole strip is haunted. Yeah.
Well, Nikki, thank you for
welcome.
Sharing your story. That's great.
After that story, I'm going to go there right away. I'd like to meet Nikki.
You want to meet Nikki?
Yeah.
She's cute.
Didn't you date someone named Nikki? Mark?
I did.
Well,
that's another story.
That's a barn story, by the way.
Podcast.
It's a new segment.
Our host is speechless right now.
Who did Skip date?
So, I had to take a moment and refresh that little lively thing in my mind. Hello, Nikki, if you're listening. 45, 753. So what'd you think of Nikki's story?
I think that's one of the stories that fits with the original podcasting idea.
Right, we're in alignment with our mission.
Finally. Yeah.
Season 3, Episode 3, we get back to business.
So, and that was business. And what was more exciting, the fact that we really had to work to get Nikki to share the story. She did not want to do it, and she finally came over, put her elbows on the bar, and you used some of your interview skills.
Well, you can hear them in the podcast in the background.
Nice job.
60 Minutes is calling next week.
Okay, so the next place we stopped was one of the more exciting things for me for that whole day was the Marco Polo, which was only a few blocks. Yes, it wasn't just my name; it was the classic mid-century sign, the interior round fireplace inside. I'm told that this place is a huge Cougar fan bar. Yeah. So people that went to WSU like to go there and watch the game.
Oh, those Cougars.
Right. The thing is, we're too old
Damn it.
to be seduced by a cougar.
Do they need to use a GPS to get there?
I needed one because I saw it one time and I couldn't figure out where it was. So anyway, really cool. It's also known for their fried chicken.
We did not have any, though.
No, but we
filled up
will
on
on the
corn
next
dogs.
trip.
Yeah. A reason to go back.
So I'm going to go on a non-WSU game day. It deserves a second round of scooters and beer and chicken. And it's also a Scoot to It Now rating because I loved it. I loved it. We've never had two in the same podcast.
I was going to say, that's two of them that you've rated quite highly.
Right. So you, by the way, were still with us at this point.
I was, yes.
Yeah, but didn't you have some other plans?
No, that was a different day. I said yes in the morning, and I stayed with it.
So that's going to come up on another podcast.
Maybe
but
2 years from now.
Your commitment to this podcast is
and the rides.
Well, I'm committed to the
respectable.
research. I'm not so committed to the paranormal and whatever else goes on.
Yeah, but you're starting to realize that people have real stories, right?
Well, if I listen to your projections of how many people are listening, yeah, but I don't really hear from the public. Although
I'm just talking about you hear the stories in the bars, though.
Well,
you don't
yeah.
think they're lying. You've never given me the impression they're making things up.
I don't let my inner feelings out.
You do all the time.
Here, let's get you some more Tito's.
Yeah, maybe one more fresh squeeze.
You know, I must say, though, I did run into a person that saw your sticker at a bar.
It's our sticker. We put those up in many of the bars where we
get
interview
it for you,
people.
but you make the stick happen.
Which bar was that?
I can't remember which.
Wasn't
one.
it the
Somewhere.
Unicorn or where was it?
Or the Sandy Hut?
No,
I mean we
got some stickers from.
We're
the Sandy
in bars in 3 states at least, if not 4.
It might have been the Unicorn somewhere down
in Tacoma.
Tacoma, yeah.
Yeah. So you know what happens if they get a hold of us and we're out
That's
riding?
what I told him.
We'll come driving
he
by
goes,
him and
well,
drink.
I'm going to have to call him next time.
Yeah. So the next place we went has a sticker up, and it's on their door as you leave, and that is Dottie's Double Wide.
Great concept.
Yeah. Well, we had to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a door that opens. You know, the front of the building is a trailer they
Trailer
cut
facade
in half.
type,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's you open it up and you walk into the bar and it's all lit like a 1950s trailer. It's in the White Center neighborhood. The other half of the trailer, when they cut it in half, is the front of the kitchen. And with a window that you reach through and get all your... Well, in this case, I think we got a taco.
Well, that's right. We did.
The eclectic, I will say, menu, it leans toward Tex-Mex with a Sonorian. Remember the Sonorian dogs?
Right.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
don't. You're shaking your head.
Yeah,
No.
I
This
do.
was the 6th bar.
Yeah, it was the 6th bar. But for being a new place, it was well done and a fun time.
Yeah, and it was professional and kitschy. Very, very kitschy.
And we were on the producer's couch, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, well...
Me too, you kept saying.
So, speaking of Dottie's Double Wide, do you know who the owners are?
Well, I do not. Do you?
I might. I think, and I'm not 100% on this, but I believe Two Shoes in Fremont owns Dottie's Double Wide, and they're a smokehouse.
It sounds Indian.
Huh. So
Two Shoes?
Indian name?
Two Shoes?
Two Shoes?
Two Shoes.
I think they're horseshoes or something. I'm not sure. But it's on, what's that, Leary that goes between Fremont and Ballard.
Fremont and Ballard, yeah.
You know, we need to go up to that neighborhood. We have not been there
That's
much.
coming up, yeah. We haven't done Old Ballard Avenue and Leary.
So
and
there are
all
more
that.
rides ahead for us?
We did go to the Pawnee or Pony, whatever that place was, the outdoor, had all the kind of, right there where Leary.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing. We just stopped in there. We did Mike's Chili Parlor. We did that place, and then we headed up to Nooksack.
More research.
Yeah, we're going to have to head out. So when you leave Dottie's Double Wide, the inside of the door, when you push out, so to speak, there's a window. And on the right of the window, look for our sticker at Dottie's Double Wide. It's right there. And that's cool in a fashionable, cool bar.
Kitschy kind of way.
Yeah. So no rating yet. They're too new. But check them out at dottiesdoublewide.com.
This is Nikki at Georgetown Liquor Company in South Seattle, Washington. You're listening to Chasing Goats on scooters, in bars.
Okay, how much longer are we going on this podcast? This seems like a big Bertha.
Well, we went a lot of places. We talked about a lot of things, and I think with that we're going to leave it like it is.
Okay, I'm ready for that.
I do want to say thank you to Weeknights for allowing us to use their music on our podcast, as long as we use a hashtag Weeknights, and they go, really, you don't need to put that on there. You don't have to. So they.
You've always been a big hashtag guy, though.
I am a hashtag guy. Thanks to the Lizard and Shelly for joining me today, and for a late arrival of Bobby Chong. Bobby,
you're more than welcome.
Yeah, Bobby. Thanks you for egos. Well, there is fresh squeezed, right? and listening to our little passion project about scooters, ghosts, and bars. We continue to pick up listeners. I'm excited about the new ones that have been there, and thank you. And we'll send you a little note and some cash. And until the next time, please ride safely. Keep your drinks down to 1 per hour, but drink. Support your local bartenders and servers by over-tipping. And with that, I'm going to say Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars is copyright